Picture this, a coliseum of hardwood where every game unfolds like an epic battle. And in the midst of the chaos stands a titan, a modern-day gladiator named Jason Tatum. His arsenal? A deadly combination of finesse and brute force. A symphony of skill and power that leaves defenders trembling in their sneakers. It's not just basketball, it's poetry in motion. So as the world watches in awe, the question lingers. In a league filled with talent, who dares to challenge the supremacy of the Boston Celtics? Take your time to ponder, but remember, greatness waits for no one. Elite shooting, elite defense, great coaching, the list goes on. Name a better team than the Boston Celtics. Don't worry, I'll wait. The Celtics have been incredible all season long, and if the playoffs started today, I think they would not only cruise through the East, but they would win an NBA title. I know that sounds bold, so let me explain a few reasons why. Starting with one of the best players in the NBA, Jason Tatum. JT is averaging 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists per game, while shooting 47% from the field and over 36% from the three-point line. He's at his absolute peak right now. He's been doing some major damage to teams at the rim and in the mid-range. In the mid, he's shooting 45%, and at the rim, he's shooting 71% on 5 attempts per game. This crazy efficiency, along with his ability to get to the free throw line and convert them at a high level, is why he's been so damn hard to stop for NBA defenses. I think sometimes we forget just how big he is. He isn't some 6'5", 6'6" wing. No, Tatum is basically a giant out there. He's 6'9". He has the size of a forward and even some centers. Then you factor in that he has top 10 handles, and you can see why it's impossible to contain him on the perimeter. Just such a unique player. And the thing is, the number one player comparison for him would obviously be Paul George. It's maybe an even more obvious comparison than Kobe to MJ. But Tatum still manages to be a better player than Paul George, respectfully. But he's still different in his own right. Now we know Paul George is and was an absolute bucket, but Tatum is just a more powerful player. You have to watch the games to get what I mean. It's hard to explain in words. Paul George has the finesse and Tatum has that too, but again, his ability to draw fouls makes him even harder to guard. We can complain about refs all we want, but players such as Jason have completely mastered the art of drawing fouls. Although he doesn't really get to the line nearly as much as other stars like Joel Embiid and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for whatever reason. But you better believe any defender who checks him has to be extra careful when they place their hands, while also trying to control their bodies and how physical they get. And Tatum will get physical with you. After adding all of that muscle and strength a couple of seasons ago, he's been a matchup nightmare. On a nightly basis, he's bullying elite defenders in the post like they aren't even there. I know we talk about how big towering centers are going out of style year after year and smaller centers are becoming more important in order to keep up with the fast-paced and more skilled game, but let me say this. If you don't have a Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, or Victor Wembanyama in the paint, he's gonna go for 50 with his eyes closed. He attacks switches better than a majority of the league, all while keeping it simple. He has the mindset of, I want to get to the rim, try to stop me, and he'll get right into you, forcing the ref to make the call. And if not, he'll likely convert the shot anyways. Because remember, the man is finishing 71% on his inside shots. But we know he's an elite 3-level scorer, and you couldn't be labeled that without the 3. When you factor in attempts, Tatum is ranked 6th in the NBA and above the break 3s per game. So when his dominance in the paint forces the defense to sag just a bit, that's when he simply pulls up with his high set point and drains the shot. It's pick your poison with him. You play up, he'll drive by you. You sag off, just add 3 points to the scoreboard. And it's crazy to see just how much pressure he puts on defenses as a pick and roll ball handler. He's top 5 among all forwards in field goal percentage as the pick and roll ball handler according to NBA.com. One thing the Celtics like to do is have Tatum bring the ball up the floor and have Kristaps Porzingis set the early top of the key screen as soon as he crosses half court. Now Tatum can charge downhill with a full head of steam too, attack the switch, and man oh man do I feel bad for whoever's on the back pedal with Tatum coming at you full speed, especially when the team's rim protector isn't in the paint due to Porzingis strategically bringing him out to the three-point line. Tatum's versatility has been very underrated. I've seen fans complain about ESPN rankings where they have Tatum over LeBron. The comments are filled with Tatum isn't better than LeBron, and honestly, all I can do is laugh. When it comes to overall production on both ends of the floor, he's almost in a league of his own, and that's the difference. Tatum is an elite lockdown defender consistently. His job isn't to slow slow down the best players, his job is to cause havoc off the ball. And he's done just that. His IQ, understanding of positioning, and length make him a terrific off-the-ball defender who can easily shrink the floor and suffocate offenses. Although his job isn't to lock down guys one-on-one, he showcases that ability every time someone tries to ISO him. It's hilariously good how easily he can defend elite scores when he's in ISO situations. If he didn't have the task of dropping 30 on the other end of the court and wasn't a superstar, he could definitely be an all-defensive level defender, a true two-way player. And the same thing can be said about Jaylen Brown. This is why the Celtics are title favorites in many's eyes. The amount of two-way talent on this roster is just insane. He's averaging 22, 5, and 3. And while he isn't shooting great from 3, he is shooting nearly 50% from the field and has been just as good as Tatum in the finishing and mid-range department, shooting 68% in the paint and 46% in the mid-range, although on lower attempts. As expected, he's proving to be the perfect second option. And I'm not really worried about his 34% from 3 because he's never been an elite sniper. You just get him going downhill or just give the ball to him and let him create in the mid-range and he can get the job done. His back to the basket game has also been amazing, and he's always been a tough shot maker. But this season, he goes to those shots consistently. He's going to back you down right before turning over either shoulder and shooting a high arching fade. It's clear he's one of those players who shoots better with a hand in their face. The definition of a tough shot maker. Defensively is where he's made the biggest leap though. After last year's postseason, where he put up a defensive clinic in a few games guarding James Harden, many assumed that level of defense from him would leak over into this season, and well, it has. While he might not be all defensive team caliber like he would think, he still has made some notable improvements that solidifies him as a high-level borderline elite defender. His off-ball defense was always a concern. He would give, honestly, low effort at times. And even when he did give effort, it was obvious he just didn't understand defense when it came to defending ball screens and knowing when and when not to switch. This season, while it hasn't been perfect, he has limited those mistakes and has been a hound on and off the ball, becoming one of the better defensive playmakers on this stacked defense. And again, their defense is what makes them title favorites. We know Tatum can give you 50 2 or 3 times in a 7-game series, and we know Brown can drop big numbers too, but if they don't make it hell for their opponents to score, then none of that matters. Their goal should be to lock down the opposing team's best player like they did at Kevin Durant back in 2021, and they have the defense to do it because, well, adding Drew freaking Holiday and Derek White certainly helps. This is the Celtics' advantage, versatility on defense. They can match up with anybody, no matter the star. Not only do they have those two who can guard any elite point guard in the NBA, but they still have the person who defends Joel Embiid maybe better than anyone in the NBA, Al Horford. However, the X factor is definitely Kristaps Porzingis. Now, Marcus Smart was great for Boston. I think we can all agree on that. But Kristaps adds a whole new dynamic on both ends of the floor. And honestly, I can't wait to see how he performs in the playoffs on this roster. With him balling the way he's been balling, I just don't see how anyone can beat this team in a series. 27-2 while being able to hit threes, score in the post at a high level, and be an elite defensive center just doesn't grow on trees. In fact, that's maybe one of the rarest combinations in the NBA. All in all, this team has what it takes. Like we stated at the beginning, it all starts with Tatum's performance and leadership, and he knows that. He recently spoke about how he and the team's mindset changed from last season to now. I know we're in first place. We've got a comfortable lead, but like I said earlier, we don't talk about it much. We just really try to get better every single day. It sounds cliche and it sounds boring, but maybe last year we rushed or looked past opponents, and we're just ready to get to the playoffs. But this year, we're really taking it one day at a time. Yeah, Tatum has matured. Being in the NBA Finals and a handful of high-stakes playoff games all before the age of 26 really has given him experience that all players his age around the league would kill to have. But tell me what you guys think. Will the Boston Celtics be the 2024 NBA champions? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.